مشاري
22 minutes past, or rather, 8 minutes past 7. How did I jump to 22? Because the clock is showing 7:08 and 22 seconds. So sometimes your lips get ahead of you before your brain has processed it totally. Nonetheless, yeah, just got 8 and 3/4 minutes past 7 now. We've got this satellite clock in the studio, right, that gives us the time to the second. Sometimes I may say it's 7:09, and you may look at your watch and see it's 7:08. It's because perhaps your watch is a few seconds behind, and therefore there's a slight difference. Load shedding has eased a little bit down to stage 5. Let's hope that we don't go back to stage 6 or even higher, Allah forbid, and that it continues to drop. My concern was the cooler weather that has been expected, during the course of this week. But let's see how it plays out. Our attention and our focus, like we said yesterday, should be primarily on Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. All conditions come from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and all solutions originate from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now, moving away from the whole discussion around load shedding that we had yesterday, and how you manage the stress and the inconvenience, and how you manage to remain optimistic about the prospects of the country, today we talk about something different but very relevant to the current season, the spring season. Parents are concerned about the health of their children with the allergy season upon us. Many parents are saying the antibiotics don't seem to be doing the trick. And some parents are looking for alternative medication to help with tight chest, asthma, allergies. What medication do you use at home to help your children through the allergy season? Or what medication do you use for yourself? And do you also feel that this season more children are getting sick compared to previous years? That's what some seem to be suggesting. Now, a number of responses have come through. I see Aisha on Twitter says, fresh garlic, if you can get them to eat that. Menthol crystal inhalation helps, and daily dose of vitamin C. Bilal says two things worked and actually cured me: raw milk and honey of your locality, both hard to find in its purest form. Shukar have not suffered in 3 years. Uzair says antibiotics won't help, as allergies are an immune response to an allergen, not an infection. Avoidance of allergens, antihistamines, and steroid inhalers, nasal sprays, are the mainstay of treatment. So he's saying avoid antihistamines and steroid inhalers and nasal sprays. On Facebook, Aisha says methi seeds boiled in hot water and then cooled. Put in a jug and drink throughout the day. It relieves asthma. Honey and turmeric helps with the cough. Muhammad says fresh garlic, the best natural antibiotic. And Rosina says that it's so bad with her son's congested nose. She's tried everything from steaming, saline flush, nasal sprays, but his nose is always clogged, and then he ends up blowing so hard that it actually bleeds. This is a practical challenge that we face, and that's why we said, well, we put it out to the listeners. We don't always have to talk about heavy political issues and get your interaction and reaction to that. These are practical issues as well. So we look forward to your thoughts. Are kids getting more sick this year compared to previous years? And what alternates are you looking at in terms of dealing with the allergies? What has worked for you previously? What is working for you now? You can WhatsApp us on 072 786 1548. So, coming up in a bit, we have our hadith for the morning. Then at about 20 past 7, we speak to Dr. Anthony Turton. He's saying what has happened in Jagersfontein is likely to happen in other places as well. Now, that's concerning. He's done some research in this regard back in 2011. It's about what they call mine tailings dams. These are the dams that the mines create to put the byproducts of their mining into these dams. And these byproducts, carry all sorts of risks. After 7:30, words with Malana Waja, tafsir of Surah Banu Israel. Today we talk about extravagance and wastage. At 7:45, we've got Tandy Smith with the Africa Report. Then after 8, we've got Anton van Dalsen, who tells us that we won't see any reform with the proposed amendments to the electoral bill. He's a legal expert. Towards the end of the program, we'll talk about the happiness index showing that South Africa is far below the world average. Why is that? I don't think you need to think too hard and too long about that. If you just look at the socio-economic conditions, but there may be more to it than just that. So we'll get perspective from Maulana Ahmed Waja closer to 20 to 9, quarter to 9, inshallah. That's what you can look forward to between now and 9 o'clock on Sabahul Muslim. But we look forward to your tips, sinus, allergies. What's working for you? What's working for your kids? Are kids indeed getting more sick this year than in previous years? What alternates would you suggest? That's what we're asking this morning. Time now for this morning's hadith.
Hadith discussions on Sabahul Muslim with Maulana Sulaimaan Ravat.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إنه ليأتي الرجل السمين العظيم يوم القيامة لا يزن عند الله جناح بعوضة. متفق عليه. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, a prominent fat man will be brought on the day of Qiyamah, but he will not even be equal to the weight of the wing of a mosquito in the sight of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. This narration is in Bukhari and Muslim. So once again, it speaks to the theme of this chapter, which is the chapter on the virtues of the weak, the poor, and undistinguished. It doesn't mean that fat people or overweight people or obese people will have no weight on the day of Qiyamah in the sight of Allah as a general rule. It doesn't mean that at all. What is meant here is that generally in society, it is those who are more affluent, those who have more means, who are likely to be overweight, to be fat or obese. It's not always the case. You do sometimes find poor people either because of genetics or whatever else. They also overweight, and many affluent people are slim and in shape. But many times, having excess weight is a sign of a person having excess wealth. Therefore, you are able to indulge. And this hadith also mentions as-samin and al-azim, a person who's prominent. So he's prominent and he's overweight. In the world, he had a lot of standing because of his wealth, because of his prominence, because of his power. But on the day of Qiyamah, you won't even have the equivalent of the weight of the wing of a mosquito. A mosquito in its entirety has no real weight, but the wing of a mosquito, even that much of value, you won't have in the eyes of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, because Allah checks your heart and your actions, not your wealth, and not your physique, and not your status, and not your prominence in society. So once again, it cautions us that don't look down upon those who don't have prominence or wealth or status in society. And secondly, work towards improving your heart and reforming your heart and your actions, because that is what Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala will judge you on. And that is what will give you a status and worth and value in the eyes of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. After the break, we speak to Professor or Dr. Anthony Turton about tailing dams and the concerns around that.
This is Sabahul Muslim.